everyone. Cosmic both of us is here. Tonight on...
both of us.
That's both of us. Tonight on What's Happening, we're featuring a two-part Supreme interview with Reverend Ivan Stang of the Church of the SubGenius.
And now for part 2.
Tune in and praise ball. How did you approach the radio in the early days? Were you cool or nervous, and why?
Well, I've actually had terrible stage fright from the very beginning, we had Power of Slack didn't actually start until 1985. Church of the SubGenius started publicly in early 1980, but one of the first people that found our stuff in the trash can at Ripoff Press was Puzzling Evidence. He didn't have a radio show, but he'd been making these incredibly creative cassette tapes with some of his friends. And he sent us, without much explanation, an example of that. And Philo and I heard that and went, wow, they just drive around recording funny stuff. We could do that. So we started doing it. And I edited some of that together, and also was always fascinated with collage of corny old movie lines and radio stuff, you know. There weren't many examples of that at that time, but the Monkees movie had some great examples of that media barrage type of weird cutting. And
I remember that movie.
A movie called The Projectionist also. It's a much more obscure movie. Anyway, I was like, well, we could do this. And I had a reel-to-reel recorder and a splicer, and I was already splicing a lot, so I started recording stuff and popping stuff and organizing it in crazy ways. And at some point, some FM radio DJ guy said, you ought to do a SubGenius show, bring a demo tape in. Well, the day that I played the SubGenius demo tape in one of those kinds of stations, a commercial rock station, everybody instantly knew this wasn't going to work. and when I left that commercial station, I thought, well, hell, I'll drop this tape off at this little non-commercial station, KNON. It's like the weird station in Dallas. And I when I came by, it was located in an old house. I dropped it off with the station manager. He said, we were wondering when you'd show up. Do you want to do a weekly show? And I went, gosh, okay. And, you know, you can still download Hour of Slack #1. I was a little clumsy with the way things work.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And the first few years when I found myself having to man up and be a SubGenius preacher instead of just writing things, I had to come up with kind of a persona. And for a couple of years, I was a real good impersonator of Jimmy Swaggart. I considered him to be the most effective preacher I'd ever seen on TV. He was like the Mick Jagger of preachers. And I imitated him pretty well. I actually recorded some of his rants and just changed the words around, you know, transcribed them. And I did that in the early days. And then later on, I kind of got my own kind of West Texas-y sounding preacher voice that was basically based on local preachers that we heard on the radio in Dallas all the time. That was Philo and I used to do that for fun. We'd just drive around, turn on K-Sky, Voice of the Gospel in Dallas, Texas, and listen to these insane preachers. And it was fabulous. And then we'd start preaching. We'd get all excited, start preaching along with them. And, you know, some of that stuff still burbles up in the old tapes.
Oh, wow.
And, of course, we've been, you know, we were all influenced, Puzzling Evidence, and Philo and me, all of us were influenced by the Firesign Theater. And that was like a glue that held our generation of radio weirdos together. Bleepo Abernathy up in Boston was a sound engineering professional in radio. In fact, he ended up working for Howard Stern for a long time.
Oh, that's interesting.
And he got to hate Donald Trump for personal reasons. Because Trump was, would come in and do shows there. And Bleepo is now an actor in L.A. He's doing character.
Have you ever seen a real UFO? If so, what was your impression?
No, I'm immune to UFOs. And I hear one.
Oh, what's that? Okay.
No, they sound like theremins. I do know that. They always sound like theremins.
Well, there's two of them. Oh my God!
I was fascinated.
We're being
by
invaded.
The UFO thing. I've never seen a UFO. I've been in a place where everyone else saw the UFO and I couldn't see it. So really? I think I was abducted a long time ago and hypnotized into not believing in UFOs as being space aliens. I mean, certainly there's unexplained lights in the sky. There's no question about that. But as far as the little green man aspect, I'm interested in the Exus, not the little guys that crash their flying saucers at New Mexico.
The ones that can't seem to get their aerodynamics on straight, right?
Yeah. No, I really when I was a young fellow, I remember my first walk through the occult section of the used bookstore. To quote Nenslow, we all had that walk through the occult section, and I became fascinated with the paranormal, the occult, UFOs. I thought, if there's anything to this stuff, it's the most important thing in the world. Well, 10 years later, I kind of felt like there's a lot of really interesting people out there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But I never saw a shred of actual real evidence. But like I say, I'm kind of programmed not to. The UFO people made it impossible for me to see them or ghosts. So what's left for a feller with cosmic leanings? Pardon the expression.
Oh, that's quite all right.
Junior science. I became a junior scientist, and that's really, where that's where my monster love led me, was into natural philosophy.
All right.
Especially biological science.
Yep. Speaking of cosmic leanings, what were your thoughts when you first heard the Cosmiks music?
Well, I thought, this sounds like a 10-year-old girl is doing this music. How charming. It was all mysterious because there was a CD with these 3 pictures. It was real hard to tell, though, because the pictures were pretty terrible. And Princess Lee and I were both kind of intrigued by the whole thing, just because it was so quirky.
That's very funny.
Shut up, Tazan.
You did a song about that Iranian or Iraqi, I forget which. The
Ahmadinejad song, yeah.
Yeah, God, that was one of the most charming, cute things I ever heard.
What do you think ever happened to Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, by the way?
I don't know. I mean, I played that song on the Hour of Slack once, and then, but that was a long time ago. Honestly, Cosmic Layla, I've thought of you as like a 15-year-old for about 15 years now.
Thank you.
I've had that trouble. Well, my friend Onan Canabite is actually about 55, but when I first met him, he was 16. He was the youngest SubGenius, and it's hard for me to think of him any other way. He sent me a picture of his girlfriend, and I thought, why is he dating an old lady like that? And then I went, oh, wait, that's right. He's old now. It's the mind can play funny tricks on you.
That's true. If you could have any superpower, what would it be, and what would you do?
I think now that I've never really considered that before, but I'm kind of going with Batman. rich. That's the superpower. I wouldn't know what to do with most of the other ones, like invisibility or flying or super strength. I don't really need those. It seems like Batman had the greatest superpower of all, and as we know, he's just about the only guy that ever beat Superman. And he did that just with his brain and skills.
And he had a lot of money, too.
and his fast, he could buy an army's worth of armor and stuff.
Right. Okay. What are your favorite top 3 monster or science fiction movies?
I could never give you a top 3.
No.
There's I did. One of my favorites, I can say 2 of my very favorites that really influenced me a lot were James Whale's The Invisible Man and his Bride of Frankenstein. Both of those are really wonderful old school monster movies. I know them by heart.
What about the Invisible Boy? Remember that movie?
No, I don't.
Oh, you should check that one out. That's a good one. I think it was Robbie the Robot is in that one. He's a special guest star.
Right. I'm aware of it. I had to, when I was a kid, I had to pick which movies I could watch. I could only stay up late once a month, and The Invisible Boy didn't sound as good as The Crawling Eye. I may have been wrong, because The Crawling Eye sucked. It's terrible. I ended up watching that instead. That was a bad move. You had to go by the titles. I was 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
You probably saw it on a DVD or something, but we didn't even have VHS then. If we wanted to study a Ray Harryhausen animated movie, we had to film it off the TV with an 8mm camera.
I know, right? The hard way.
Yeah, and you got scan lines too. It wasn't very efficient.
No, that's true. Yeah, what about the World's Greatest Sinner? That's another movie. The World's Greatest Sinner. Zappa actually did the soundtrack for that one. Did you ever saw that movie?
No, I'm familiar with its reputation, but I don't think I ever saw it.
Oh.
Or if I did, I don't remember. I might have seen it at a midnight movie when I was in college or something, but there's a lot of blank spots there.
Yeah, it's actually a terrible movie.
I saw The Grateful Dead once, but I don't remember a second of it. I think I slept through the whole thing.
Okay.
I saw Jimi Hendrix when I was 15, but acoustics were horrible, and I wasn't prepared for a live concert. I thought it was going to sound like the records, and some of those bands I just couldn't stay awake through. But I saw Frank Zappa twice, and I recorded a Captain Beefheart bootleg.
Oh, cool!
If you ever run into a Captain Beefheart from around 1972 in Dallas, I recorded that in a little club. I never got. I didn't have the nerve to go up and be a fanboy.
Right.
I was too big of a fanboy. I didn't have the nerve.
You didn't have the nerve because you were too big of a fanboy. Do you think there's a similarity between P.T. Barnum and the Church of the SubGenius?
Well, sure, but it's just the basic rules of advertising. There's a seeker born every minute, and people want a show. My planned museum here is really a bit more a P.T. Barnum thing. So I'm trying to make a fraud creationist museum, only it's the opposite. It's a destructionist museum with fake fossils. Like, for instance, a Cretaceous devil skeleton. I have it. I actually have you can see pictures of it. A devil skeleton from 100 million years ago. We also have an alien skeleton. An alien crashed here in the Cretaceous, and I think he had a robot with him. We've got the robot fossil. colossal skeleton as well.
Okay.
I haven't put together the commercial for this museum yet, but that's eventually what I need to do, is make a kind of a fake commercial. We have a creationist museum in this town that's irritating to me, although it's really funny to go to.
Mm-hmm.
They stole one of our dinosaur tracks, long story short.
I see.
Misrepresenting the long ago. The guy convinced my dad that he was a scientist, and he went and wrecked one of our best tracks.
Oh, that's...
Anyway, I've always, that's been a sore point, and so I want to have, at least, I have no interest in giving people tours through this place, but I do want to make a cool commercial for a non-existent museum.
Oh, that would be cool. Yeah. Do you think this? Yeah. Do you think the Church of the SubGenius, is it a normal cult, an evil cult, or a benign cult, or is it a cult at all?
Why not all four?
Good answer.
No, that's really easy. You know, why are those mutually exclusive?
Exactly.
They're not. Any cult worth its salt is going to be all of those. Fake, real, a joke, and whatever, a cult.
Right. All right. The weather has been acting quite wacky lately. What are your thoughts about climate change?
I believe that we are the extinction event that's possibly as bad as the one that took out the dinosaurs. That's us. It's too late. It's already, the deed's been done. The oceans are irrevocably sickened, and the atmosphere is horribly messed up. That's going to take... it's hard for me to even imagine getting things back to normal. I just don't see how it's even possible. The species extinction is through the roof. I mean, it's insane. There's never been anything like this, except when gigantic climate disasters like a volcano or an asteroid striking the planet real hard. I know a lot about extinction events. I live on the site of the Cretaceous extinction event. I live on what used to be an ocean floor. You can tell it used to be. And being a junior scientist, I've been following all of this my whole life, and like a lot of people who study nature science, it's more grim than people even want to think about. Let me put it this way. I'm glad that I'm old, and I hope to God that I die before the last gorilla does. That's one of my biggest fears, is that I'll be alive the day that I read about the last mountain gorilla. Well, when it's down to 3, that's pretty much the end, you know. Penn Jillette said a thing on his show, Bullshit. Ticked me off so bad, made me so mad, and 6 months later, I got his point. But I forget what the subject of the show was, but he basically said, if I had the choice of saving the last chimpanzee on Earth or an AIDS-ridden junkie, I'd save the AIDS-ridden junkie. Now, I was just infuriated when I heard that. 6 months later, it sunk in. The last chimpanzee, what's the difference? When you're down to 1, that's none. That's it.
Right.
You know, it's like, I get it now. Boy, God darn old Penn Jillette, he's a trickster.
All right, just a couple of political questions.
Sure.
Okay, here we go. So, how do you think the presidential election and the peaceful transition of power went?
A little better than I expected. I don't believe that votes were stolen. I have evidence that there were votes that were trying to be stolen. I mean, there's the president was begging the governor of Georgia to make up 11,000 fake votes on tape. But somehow these 80 court cases have all found no evidence whatsoever, so that doesn't bother me. But I was never any kind of a Trumpie to begin with. I've been a libtard most of my life. Not to say that I'm a hater of Republicans at all. My whole half my family and a whole lot of my old friends are basically what you call conservatives, and I'm kind of a moderate libtard. Oh, my friend told me not to use that term. Anyway, I've been, when I was 14, I had a Nixon sticker on my little briefcase. And then when I was 18, I was ready to carry Chairman Mao's little red book. But then I got a job and had a family, and everything got a little bit more real. And I believe that people have to compromise. There's always going to be conflict. But the minute that you decide there's only one party and everybody else is not part of the party, well, we've seen that happen before in some other countries, and it didn't turn out very well. So I think there should always be two parties, and everybody should party on, dude.
All right, right on. Okay, what do you think about Pat Robertson's 2020 Christmas comment, which goes, quote, "I think we're going to see a President Biden, and I also think we'll be seeing a President Kamala Harris not too long after the inauguration of President Biden," unquote. Does that sound like sinister footwear to you?
There's a standard, that's a standard common right-wing trope. I have a bad habit of monitoring extreme right websites and comments.
Yeah, that was actually in a video. He did it in a video.
Yeah, well,
it just sounded a little strange because he's talking. It sounds like he's talking about that we're going to see a President Kamala Harris not too long after the inauguration of President Biden, which it's almost like an insinuation that like President Biden isn't going to be president very long, or like something is going to happen, or it's just sounded a little weird. The Democrats are going to poison Biden. That's the standard story. The whole idea behind getting Biden there was so that they could, because he's so old and senile, he's about to die any second. He stutters. I mean, my God, he must not have any kind of a brain at all if he stutters. So, therefore, they obviously, the super leftists and socialists and actual commies of the Democrat Party want Kamala Harris in there, and so that's why they put Biden in. So they're planning to poison Biden so the commies can take over. Right, and then basically show that women can't be a president, basically, because they can't handle the power, right?
Well, I don't think it's so much that. It's that they've been taught that Democrats are really communists, and they don't actually talk to Democrats, and they tell each other not to look at the regular news or read those history books or anything, because that's all fake news. I'm waiting for somebody to go, "Oh, yeah, I guess you believe the fake news," and that's when I get to go, "Oh, you mean like the Bible?" Which is a good way for me to get shot. Actually, where I live is a very, very conservative community. They're the sweetest folks in the whole world. It doesn't matter who you are, if you black or Asian, whatever, Hispanic, you got a flat tire on the road, almost any of them will stop and help you. If you have a hope and change button on, they might not help us.
Think twice, right?
But basically, the way I've lived in the big city and tiny towns, rural communities. my whole life. I've done both. And it breaks my heart to see how they distrust each other. The city people think country people are all dumbasses, and the country people think the city people are all dumbasses. And I just, it's sad. It's just really, really sad. It's that whole us versus them thing. And
they're all dumbasses, right?
Honestly,
yeah, they're all dumbasses.
Overall, well, the basic point of the Church of SubGenius is, if you really honestly think it's us versus them, and you think you're somehow superior or special, you're what we're making fun of. But it takes a long time for that to sink in, and sometimes when it does, they get real mad.
Yes.
There's lots of people out there that hate me because I eventually had to deprogram them and go, hey, look, I'm sorry, but I don't actually expect any aliens to show up on July 5th. Are you kidding? Jesus Christ.
Oh, there they are. There they are. You're not all right. There they are.
That's exactly, because we doubt our own prophecy, that's probably the most likely one to come true.
Exactly, right? Is the dump a huckster, you think?
Oh, the former president.
Mm-hmm.
Well, of course. He was, I had friends in New York, and I used to travel to New York a lot. I knew who Donald Trump was since the late 70s. He's always been what he is. Most people never heard of him until he was on a reality TV show. But me and everybody else who ever read the New Yorker knew what that guy and his whole family were all about. Duh. It's just, what can you say? It's like there's different planets on one planet. And it's all based on, honestly, I think the internet wrecked everything. Because now you can find anything you want to believe proved on a YouTube video.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter how crazy it is, you can find 100 people saying that crazy crap on YouTube videos. And that's, I don't think that's been healthy for the society, really. You would have thought that access to the world brain would educate people better, but it actually just spread more disinformation.
That's true, and also there's an oversaturation of information, which tends to make people not, be able to filter out what is really happening and what really isn't. So, they just have a problem with overload in that respect as well because of the internet.
The first time I met Dr. Timothy Leary, I was opening for him. This is after his acid god period. He was basically a stand-up comic by then. And I said one question. How do you handle the input, the sheer input? And he kind of got a funny look on his face, and he paused for a second. He goes, well, that's what it's all about, isn't it? That's it. That's what it's all about. How do you handle the input?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. He basically was saying, it's tricky.
Yeah.
He was a famous guy. He was somebody who's obviously had been through the grinder, several different unusual grinders.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I was kind of an amateur at that. I got to meet a lot of those old hipster characters, Paul Krasner and Robert Anton Wilson, because they were invited to Starwood like I was. And I would sit around jawing with them. Mostly everybody just talked about movies. That was the easiest thing.
All right.
Robert Anton Wilson really hated the last of the Hannibal Lecter movies. I forget which one it was. The third one. He was furious about that.
Yeah, I noticed that sequels tend to, water down the original. Like the third Psycho is not as good as the first either. So.
Right. Well, you can't beat your first big, thing. The book of the SubGenius is we're never going to top that. We never even tried, really. We did 2 more books like that, but they're not even in print anymore. That's as much due to office politics as anything else. But it's the first hit is always the best. And if you're going to age with dignity, you've got to be aware of that and encourage the next thing. Encourage the next people coming along. I've always been the first celebrity I ever really met was one of the Firesign Theater, David Ostman. He was so friendly and encouraging. And Ray Harryhausen, the stop motion master. I met him when I was really young. He was super friendly and encouraging, and I've always tried to. That's really special. Imitate him. It's always time for the youngsters to take the place of the oldsters. That doesn't bother me in any way, shape, or form. I've got 3 grandchildren, so I can blame everything on them.
Very good. Any plans for future SubGenius ventures?
I really want to put together a whole bunch of books, reprints of the old Stark Fist magazine, reprints of our books that are out of print, new assemblies of old stuff that never saw the light of day because it was done between the time that we couldn't afford to print and mail magazines anymore, but before the internet.
Wow, that sounds interesting.
I've got boxes and boxes of amazing stuff that hardly anybody saw. About, I sent Xeroxes among our friends.
Cool. That would be totally new to the public because they never saw it. So yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, and actually, the old Stark Fist magazines would be new to most people, and we worked really hard on those. Those are all scanned. Cool. I scanned all that stuff years ago, so it's kind of ready to go. But everything takes longer now. I have to spend an hour exercising just to be able to get up in the morning.
It sounds like you're improving, and just you keep on keeping on with that.
Yeah, that's just I'm glad I have that option.
Yeah, you strike me as a very strong person, and I actually admire those kinds of people. So I think you're an inspiration to a lot of other people out there who might be struggling with similar situations.
Well, I'm really lucky. I don't have any chronic illness. I've never been crippled by a drunk driver. I got a really good education. Yeah. My parents could afford dental work. I've got a lot of privileges. I'm highly aware of them, and partly because of that, it's like I'd be a real puss if I, didn't keep punching. So I have no plans for retirement because I don't really have any money for retirement. I'm figuring I'll be assembling SubGenius membership packs and mailing them out until the day I croak. Kind of like the ant farm guy and the sea monkeys guy.
Well, there
Those
you go.
were both things that were advertised in comic books for decades. And they were both done by entrepreneurs who basically just had the stuff manufactured. And, the guy and his family would mail the stuff out. And,
kind of like
make a good living. Mm-hmm. Everybody had an ant farm. I did, and sea monkeys.
Yeah, I know. Well, there's a place in the world for that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody has to have a SubGenius ordainment sooner or later.
That's right, and. And just to let you know what I'm going to be up to, on Groundhog Day, I plan to release my new audiobook called Doom and the Antidote, which is a one-woman show. So I'm doing all the characters, all the voices in the story, and I wrote the story. And
Jeepers.
Yeah, so I'll be sharing that with you, as well as everyone else.
You're not 15 years old anymore, right?
Wait, let me check. No, I don't feel a day over 14, though, to be honest. I don't perceive time like everybody else. I mean, if I look back and I say, oh, what was that, 10 years ago? I don't feel like it was 10 years ago. I feel like it was like, just yesterday. So I don't have that passage of time thing, Time is illusory. So I always go by that standard too. So,
well, good luck with that.
Hey man, it's all in the mind, as you know.
No, it's not.
I
don't agree.
Okay. Well, that's okay. We can agree to differ. By the way, we'd like to send you a flying saucer. Which color do you prefer, blue or green?
Blue.
Okay, you got it. We'll send you a blue flying saucer in the mail.
Well, actually, no. Actually, come think of it, it wouldn't show up against the sky if it's blue. Well, maybe green.
Okay, well, so you want green instead of blue? Because it's yeah, it's green. It's green with the orange. It actually they glow in the dark. So.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, and this is Cosmic Dano. It was nice to meet you. Yeah. We're reverends too,
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I know. I probably hand wrote the address on there. Well, if it was a few years. Recently, I use PayPal does the addressing, and it's typed, but I used to hand address everything.
You want to hear my Stang imitation?
Sure.
Reverend Stang.
That's just a recording of me, isn't it?
Yeah, you're too sharp for us, Reverend Stangs. When we first heard of the Church of the SubGenius, it was actually on an old HTML type website where it was the ears of Bob Dobbs, and we were listening on an old web TV, which is not a computer. It was a device.
Oh yeah, I remember those.
Yeah, it would hook up to your television.
I had one of those.
Oh, you do, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't work.
Well, I had one. Yeah.
They don't work anymore, though.
Yeah, they took them away back in 2013. They discontinued the service. But yeah, we were listening to the Hour of Slack on our little dinky web TV, and we thought that was interesting, and and we loved it so much, and so we just decided to reach out.
That was back. That was even before MP3s. I think we were using True Speech.
Yeah.
Which was this horrible.
Right.
Real audio.
In the land of middies.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It was like the 10 kilobytes for an hour-long show or something. Insane. It sounded horrible.
It still came through, though.
We started real early. As soon as there was any way to put audio on the internet, we started doing that. Long before the phrase podcast was invented.
Oh yeah, before social media. Before social media, for crying out loud. I mean, I'm serious. There was no
butt book.
Butt book or Instabutt or Twiddle.
No. No, but
or Tubu.
No, but there was the post office. It was just a slow motion internet.
Exactly.
Very slow.
Yeah. Email was like the new fast thing back then. Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah, we've been digging it, and it's been great.
It's been a hoot and a holler, and really appreciate it. And I'm actually out of questions. You actually made it through the entire, crammed them all in, and made it through the entire thing, and fantastic.
Those were refreshing questions. I'm so glad. Most of them weren't about Church of the SubGenius. Thank God. Oh, God, you can talk about something else for a change.
Oh, yeah.
What a relief.
All right, there you go.
It was fun.
All right, yeah, a lot of fun, too.
Good luck on your new project and your one-woman show and everything.
Oh, yeah, it's already finished in the can. I'm just going to be sending it out on
we're going to be working on a new rock album, too.
That's right. The Cosmiks are coming back.
Yay!
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so we're going to let you go now. Yeah.
Praise Bob and praise the Cosmiks.
All right, and praise Reverend Stang too, and praise Princess We Are Do.
I'll give her a big old kiss for you.
Thank you so much. We love you, man.
Nighty night.
Nighty night.
I reached out my hand and he let me fall. Thank you, oh thank you for nothing at all. A big grinning mouth and a comic book chin, smoking a pipe full of sin. Full of sin, oh I'll never win, 'cause he's smoking a pipe full of sin. I tried to love Bob, but he kicked me in the shin. He's smoking a pipe full of sin. I reached out my hand and he let me fall. Thank you, oh thank you for nothing at all. A big grinning mouth and a comic book chin, smoking a pipe full of sin. Full of sin, oh I'll never win, 'cause he's smoking a pipe full of sin. I tried to love Bob, but he kicked me in the shin. He's smoking a pipe full of sin. I reached out my hand and he let me fall. Thank you, oh thank you for nothing at all. A big grinning mouth and a comic book chin, smoking a pipe full of sin. Full of sin, oh I'll never win, 'cause he's smoking a pipe full of sin. I tried to love Bob, but he kicked me in the shin. He's smoking a pipe full of sin.
Well, wasn't that something? Tune in next week for What's Happening with the Cosmiks. Toodly Pipski!
You're not going to tell those people you saw Martians running around down there.
What would you say if I had found a Martian down there?
and it's really elementary. The industrial revolution has flipped the bitch on evolution. The benevolent and wise are being promoted up to size. What a bummer. The world keeps getting dumber. Insensitivity is standard, and faith is being fancied over reason. Darwin's rolling over in his coffin. The fittest are surviving much less often. Now everything seems to be reversing, and it's worsening. Someone flopped a steamer in the gene pool. Now angry mob mentality is no longer the exception, it's the rule. And I'm starting to feel a lot like Charlton Heston, stranded on a primate planet. Apes and orangutans and ran into the ground, with generals and the armies that obeyed them. Followers following fables, philosophies that enable them to rule without regard. There's no point for democracy when ignorance is celebrated. Political scientists get the same one vote as some Kentucky inbred. Majority rule don't work in mental institutions. Sometimes the smallest, softest voice carries the brand. Biggest solutions. What are we left with? A nation of God-fearing pregnant nationalists who feel it's their duty to populate the homeland. Pass on traditions, how to get ahead religions, and prosperity via simple culture. The idiots are taking over. 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 They're taking over.
Cause it's your pain when you feel it, it is your blood when you bleed, it is your loss when you lose, agree or disagree. That's why when you talk it, it's through your own teeth, and when you got to walk it, it's with your own feet. Remember that when it's your grief and it's you that feels the heat. Infestation of fleas, people itching to critique about success. They stress and sneer at your defeats. Don't need no raised eyebrows or looks of disbelief. Now fuck all the deceit that they all got to pin them. Nobody fight your battles, it's you who got to win them. When you feel like everybody wants to see you in ruin, don't pay no never mind, keep on doing what you doing. You gotta stand it, it's in your skin that you're stranded. No one else has a hand in what fate has commanded. It is your soul that is crammed it, in your brain that is rammed in. Your life you have to plan it, no one else will do the program. So imagine what people want in your soul opera. Improper, our best friends are always trying to stop you. Sit back, relax in your lazy boy rock and make them the ones that ponder on how they gonna top you. Well, it's a shame when it's time to pass the blame. You take it frame by frame when it's time to play the game. And yo, it's never the same when it's them that's in the rain. It's you who gets a cane, it's you who feels the pain or the stain when you're face down in the grass. So everybody gather around and raise your glass, cause no one's gonna die your death when it's time to pass. So live like you feel and tell them to kiss your ass.
when it's time for me to die. Live my life the way I want to. I'm always gonna die when it's time for me to die. I'm always gonna die. I'm always gonna die. I'm always gonna die when it's time for me to die. Live my life the way I want to. I'm always gonna die when it's time for me to die. I'm always gonna die. I'm always gonna die. I'm always gonna die when it's time for me to die. Live my life the way I want to. I'm always gonna die when it's time for me to die. I'm always gonna die. I'm always gonna die. I'm always gonna die when it's time for me to die. Live my life the way I want to.
Seen 'em do a battle, I've heard 'em talking war. Still I keep on going, though it's different than before. They've been riding high, up where the cold winds blow. Miles above that highway where the rest of us all go. To find out, you have to find out. It's good to find out before you open your mouth. Find out, why don't you find out? You better find out before you fill in the blanks. Go find out what it takes to make a boy break down and cry. Go find out, 'cause your mistake is a big return goodbye. Find out where it goes. Find out fast or lows. Find out no one knows. Find out for yourself. You never try to find the time it takes to work it out. It's not a waste to taste the sweat it takes to work it out. You don't need a battle, you don't need a war, you don't need any lessons to find out what's in store. You've been riding high, you felt the cold winds blow. Now get back on that highway where the others have to go and find out. And maybe when you do, you'll even find out you haven't got a clue unless you find out. It's never like they say you're gonna find out. They take it all away. Go find out what it takes to make a boy break down and cry. Go find out, is your mistake kiss a big return goodbye. You never tried to find the time it takes to work it out. It's not a waste to taste the sweat it takes to work it out. Find out, if you open your mouth, you better find out.
Rip dip 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 dim bum ba ba. Rip dip 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 dim bum ba ba. Rip dip 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 dim bum ba ba. Rip dip 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 dim bum ba ba. Dip 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 dim bum ba ba. Rip dip 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 bum ba ba. Rip dip 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 dim bum ba ba. Rip dip 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 dim bum ba ba.
I can't seem to face up to the facts. I'm tense and nervous and I can't relax. I cannot sleep 'cause my bed's on fire. Don't touch me, I'm a real live wire. Psycho killer, qu'est-ce que c'est? Fa 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 fa. Better start a conversation you can't even finish. You're talking a lot, but you're not saying anything. When I have nothing to say, my lips are sealed. Say something once, why say it again? A psycho killer, qu'est-ce que c'est? Fa 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 fa. Better run, 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 run away. Psycho killer, qu'est-ce que c'est? Fa 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 fa. Better run, 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 run away.
Out, out.
Haze all through my brain lately, but things they don't seem the same. Acting funny, but I don't know why.
Excuse me while I kiss the sky.
Purple haze all around. Don't know if I'm coming up or down. Never happy or in misery.
What the hell is that girl put a spell on me?